Can you still hear the TV all right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it was coming through.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
I'll turn it down if you want.
The members will please be seated. Thank you. Hello, Tom. How are you? Okay, good evening, folks. This time we have we have 172 members present, 43 absent, so we do have a quorum, and the meeting is in order. At this time, I would invite all town meeting members and anyone else present who so desires to now rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time, Town Clerk Amy Hennessy-Neves will now swear in any new town meeting members that weren't sworn in back at the annual town meeting in May.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a town meeting member in accordance with the bylaws in the town of Milford? So help you God. Thank you.
Okay. And now, Mrs. Neves will please read the opening of the warrant.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is a special town meeting, October 20th, 2025, Milford, Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester County. To either constable of the town of Milford and said county, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth aforesaid, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Milford, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet in the upper hall of the Milford Town Hall, 52 Main Street, on the 20th day of October, 2025 AD at 7:00 p.m. In accordance with the provisions of General Laws, Chapter 39, Section 10, a special town meeting shall be held in Milford's Upper Town Hall. For those seeking reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, due to incapacity or disability, who provide sufficient proof of such condition and who pre-register for the special town meeting at individual locations selected by such members at the time of their pre-registration as part of the reasonable accommodation process, remote participation may be permitted. The special town meeting will then and there act upon the following articles. Article 1.
Does any member object to dispensing with the reading of the articles? Hearing no objection, Mrs. Neves will continue with the reading of the officer's return of service.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Worcester County, Milford, Mass. Date September 23rd, 2025. Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified the inhabitants of the town of Milford to meet at the time and place for the purpose within mentioned by posting attested copies of this warrant in 10 or more public places in Milford. Robert Tassino, Police Chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Neves. At this time, I'd like to just recognize a couple of one group and one individual. The individual is David Laper, who is the moderator from the town of Upton. He's been the moderator there for 30-odd years, and he's just here to observe a representative town meeting because Upton has an open town meeting. And I'd also like to recognize Troop 314 from Milford. They're in the back. They're here to observe a little democracy in action tonight. So I would ask you to all please be on your best behavior. Thank you. Are there any complimentary resolutions? Mr. Mazzucchelli. Yeah, give one to Paul. You have them? Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening, town meeting members. This is a resolution for Leonard A. Izzo Sr. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Leonard A. Izzo Sr. Whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. was a member of the town meeting for 50 years, from 1975 to 2023. Whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. served on the Urban Development Authority from 1975 to 1980. Whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. served on the Milford Redevelopment Authority from 1980 to 1986. And whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. served as a member of the Board of Health for 38 years, from 1987 to 2025. Whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. served on the Milford Pond Restoration Committee from 1999 to 2002. Whereas Leonard A. Izzo Sr. served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family. And this is respectfully submitted by the Milford Select Board, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Esquire, Chair, Paul A. Mazzucchelli, and Michael K. Walsh, the members. Mr. Moderator, I have one more.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to ask that all the resolutions be read before we stand in tribute to the deceased members. Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Thank you. This resolution is in regards to Philip W. Moran, Sr. Whereas the citizens of Milford learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Philip W. Moran, Sr. Whereas Philip W. Moran, Sr. worked in the Department of Inspections for 39 years. Whereas Philip W. Moran, Sr. served as Assistant Gas Inspector from 1967 to 1972. Whereas Philip W. Moran, Sr. served as Gas Inspector from 1973 to 2003. Whereas Philip W. Moran, Sr. served as Plumbing and Gas Inspector from 2004 to 2006. Whereas Philip W. Moran served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family, and that is respectively submitted by Milford Select Board, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Esquire, Chair, Paul A. Mazzucchelli, and Michael K. Walsh, members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Are there any other resolutions?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Laughlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is in recognition of Dr. Richard Heller. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Dr. Richard A. Heller. Whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller was a member of town meeting for 38 years, from 1987 to 2023. Whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served as trustee of the town library from 1987 to 1993. Whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served on the local arts council from 1980 to 1986, whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served on the ad hoc committee on duplex zoning, whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served on the police chief's review committee in 2020 and 2023, whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served on the town meeting study and improvement committee from 2018 to 2023. Whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller was a generous benefactor of the Milford Town Library. Whereas Dr. Richard A. Heller served this community faithfully, unselfishly, as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family. Respectfully submitted, myself, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Paul Mazzucchelli, and Michael K. Walsh. Mr. Moderator, this is a resolution to recognize John Ted DiPaolo Jr. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of John Ted DiPaolo Jr. Whereas John Ted DiPaolo Jr. was a member of town meeting for 23 years at different times from 1986 to 2020. Whereas John Ted DiPaolo Jr. was a member of the Milford Fire Department for 34 years. Whereas John Ted DiPaolo Jr. served as a trustee of the Vernon Grove Cemetery from 1996 to 2005. Whereas John Ted DiPaolo Jr. served as a member of the Planning Board in 2022 and 2023. Whereas John Ted DiPaolo Jr. served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen, therefore be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family. Respectfully submitted, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Paul Mazzucchelli, Michael Walsh.
Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, good evening. Whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Nicholas A. Lux Luca Jr. Whereas Nicholas A. Lux Luca Jr. was a Finance Committee member for 16 years, from 1963 to 1979. Whereas Nicholas A. Lux Luca Jr. was a member of the Off-Street Parking Commission for 9 years, from 1985 to 1994. Whereas Nicholas Lux Luca Jr. served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn silence in tribute to the memory, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to his family. Respectfully submitted, the Milford Select Board, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Esquire, Chairman, Paul A. Mazzucchelli, and Michael K. Walsh. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, whereas the citizens of Milford have learned with great sorrow and deep regret of the passing of Louis P. Bertinazi. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi was an at-large member of town meeting, where Louis P. Bertinazi served on the Board of Selectmen from 1964 to 1969. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served as a state representative from 1968 to 1978. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served as a state senator from 1978 to 1995. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served as an Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served as the Deputy Director of the Massachusetts Department of Youth Services from 1966 to 1969. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served as a member of the Blackstone Valley Economic Opportunity Council. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served in the 1973 Milford High School Planning and Building Committee, where Louis P. Bertinazi created the Senator Louis P. Bertinazi Foundation to fund annual awards in the areas of education, culture, and citizenship to the individuals in the communities that he had represented in the legislature. Whereas Louis P. Bertinazi served this community faithfully and unselfishly as a loyal and sincere citizen. Therefore, be it resolved that as a mark of respect, the business of this meeting be suspended while members stand in solemn and silent tribute to his memory, and a copy of this resolution be given to his family. Respectfully submitted, the Milford Select Board, Thomas J. O'Laughlin, Esquire, Paul A. Mazzucchelli, and Michael K. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. And now, as a token of our respect and admiration, I would ask that the business of this meeting be suspended and that everyone here stand with bowed heads as a silent tribute to the memory of Senator Louis P. Bertinazi, John E. Ted DiPaolo Jr., Dr. Richard A. Heller, Leonard A. Izzo Sr., Nicholas A. Lux Luca Jr., and Philip W. Moran Sr. Thank you. Does the Finance Committee have a report? Mr. Attorney Lazat.
Andrew Lazard on behalf of the Finance Committee. Good evening. Can I have the slide, please? Thank you. I'm going to keep this in relatively the same format as I did October of last year, just as a refresher for folks. As you recall, in May, one of our principal objectives is to establish the operating budget for the following year, but we also attend to a few other non-operational items at that time. We sometimes do capital projects that might be of an emergency nature, or we might need to preserve some grants that can't wait until October. We also deal with levy relief and stabilization. Now, with respect to capital projects, last May, we allocate a little over $2 million. I listed three of the principal examples here. As you may recall, we completed the town park renovation. We had some elevators that weren't working at Stacy School that needed to be repaired, and there was some fire department gear that was purchased for health and safety reasons. The levy relief was $5.6 million. The goal is about $6 million. The stabilization contribution was $1.8 million, and I'll get into both of those items further in the next slide. So the levy relief, just as a refresher to everyone, that is the difference between what you could be taxed as a citizen of the town of Milford and what you are actually taxed. So it's basically the firewall between us and Proposition 2.5. We try to keep that at the $6 million number. Number one, it gives us a little bit of a cushion in unexpected events. We also expect that we'll need to consume some of that when we get to the high school renovation, which is continuing under discussion. The stabilization, as I mentioned on the last slide, we propose to contribute $1.8 million. We have a short-term stabilization fund which can be used for temporary capital or any operating needs, and we have a long-term stabilization which we do for credit rating purposes and to prepare for future major projects such as the high school. Next slide, please. Okay, so one of the principal things we deal with at this October meeting is the allocation of free cash. So what is free cash? As I mentioned last year, that might be the difference between anticipated revenue that was coming in and actual revenue. If we collected more than we thought we'd collect, if our expenses were less than we anticipated, it's almost like a tax refund. It's not free, but that is the term that's used under the law. Why do we deal with it in the fall? Well, one reason we deal with it is under state law, the free cash gets certified in September, which tees this up for the October meeting. The certified free cash for this year is, as you can see, a little over $6.4 million. What we typically do is some of that is used to augment or increase the amount of capital funds that we initially set aside in May. We also sometimes try to adjust that surplus or that levy relief that I had mentioned earlier. We also sometimes use it to modify what's puts into the stabilization fund. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have $6.4 million approximately in free cash. What are we proposing to do with it? Well, we've got about $5 million that's being allocated for capital. Now, what we typically do in May as part of that planning and goals and objectives is $1,750,000, if it's available, is set aside for capital. We're proposing an additional $5 million, so that means tonight's capital spend would be in the neighborhood of $6.7 million, the $5 million plus the $1,750,000. We're also proposing to increase that cushion, that surplus, if you will, the levy relief by $400,000, which brings us from the $5.6 million that we had in May back up to the $6 million number, which has been our objective for the last few years. And the balance of $1 million is proposed to be kept in the operating fund. It may sound like a lot, but it's really not. That may be needed to use for a variety of purposes, for snow and ice related expenditures, for unanticipated revenue shortfalls. and whatever doesn't get spent will roll into what's available for free cash in the following year. Last slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned in the last slide that we're anticipating spending about $6.7 million tonight, subject to town meeting approval. What is in that? There are about 30 spend articles tonight. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on the highlights. Two of the big ticket items. The first is HVAC replacement work at the Stacy School. School department recently undertook an evaluation of the facilities at Stacy, and it was determined that there's some significant deferred maintenance. It's going to have to be dealt with over a multi-year period. This is effectively the first installment, so the proposal tonight is $2.2 million for that allocation. A fire department engine, it's obviously one of the biggest expenditures of the fire department. These engines typically last in the range of 25 to 30 years. We have an engine that's more or less reached its useful life, and we're proposing to acquire a new engine. Painting the town hall interior, $290,000. That has been deferred on the capital spend the last couple of years, but it's been suggested that we really shouldn't defer it anymore. Stormwater compliance, that's $200,000 proposed to be put in effectively a revolving fund to just deal with any stormwater environmental compliance issues as they come up. The skate park, this is a proposal of $190,000 to do a design study for a skate park in Milford. This would be a two-step process. If this gets approved tonight, there would be a subsequent vote for the actual development and completion of this project. This would be the first phase of the project if town meeting were to approve that. The fire department, there's some HVAC repair work to be done there in Birch Street. That's $190,000. The school department has some upgrades of the telephone system and other electronics. Those become antiquated from time to time. So it's proposed to spend $160,000 on that. Every year for the last several years, we've been allocating $150,000 for Americans with Disability Act compliance, which has basically been determined at the discretion of the town administrator and the select board as to what is most important in that particular year, but that is a program that has been ongoing for several years. The police department, there is a proposal to repair the indoor fire range. This $150,000 is a significantly less expensive alternative to a rebuild of the fire range, which would run 3 to 4 times that amount. As I mentioned, I'm not going to go through all of the articles here, just a brief overview of some of the other low six-figure items. We have 3 or 4 collective bargaining agreements that we effectively have to make a little bit of a catch-up payment on the wages that have to be paid under those contracts. That collectively is in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. We also have 2 remediation projects of about $150,000 each. One is in connection with contamination at the Birch Street Fire Station, or around the fire station rather, and second is associated with the Charles River Trail. So that's how we propose to spend the town's money tonight. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Attorney Lazat. I don't believe there are any other reports tonight, but at this time I'd just like to go over some instructions, meeting instructions, and that is who can speak at town meeting. That is, town meeting members and registered voters in the town of Milford may address this body. Anyone else wishing to address this body needs the unanimous consent of the town meeting members. If you wish to speak, you can do so by rising in place, raising your hand and exclaiming, "Mr. Moderator," until I recognize you. Then when you do come up to speak, I would ask you to please, even though if I recognize you by name, to please state your name and what precinct you're from, or if you're an at-large member, or if you're a registered voter, please state your name and address. The making and voting on motions is restricted to town meeting members. Main motions and amendments to a motion must be in writing, and the maker of that motion must provide copies for the town clerk and myself. There are time limits in debate. The sponsor is allowed 10 minutes for a presentation. A 2/3 vote is needed to extend a presentation for another 10 minutes. No person addressing town meeting on a motion for the first time shall speak for more than 5 minutes, and subsequent statements or presentations by the same person shall not exceed 3 minutes each, nor exceed 3 in number. You may ask a question at town meeting. Questions must be directed to the moderator, addressed to the moderator, and are limited to obtaining material information. Neither elected town meeting members nor at-large members are obligated to answer a question. And lastly, a town meeting member cannot directly ask a question to another member. Finally, I want to remind the voters that town meeting is a legislative body. By law, we can only act on the subject matter contained in each warrant article. Town meeting is not a public forum. It does not have an invitation to speak. It does not have a question and answer segment. Anyone addressing town meeting must speak to the question. In other words, a speaker's comments must be relevant to the subject under consideration. So with that, I'll ask what the pleasure of the meeting is. Article 1, Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $150,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the Select Board for the purposes of engineering, consulting, and legal expenses in relation to the cleanup of environmental hazards on town property in the area of the Birch Street Fire Station.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
In May 2024, the Department of Environmental Protection notified the town of Milford that they believed that PFAS contamination encountered at at 40B Birch Street property migrated from the fire suppression foams used at the abutting Birch Street Fire Station burned building. The town is required to investigate the contamination and submit a status report to DEP by June of 2025. We retained Haley and Aldrich, an environmental consultant, to provide preliminary reports and a proposal to complete the work for required 2025 status report submittal. The status report was filed by the town. Mass DEP has determined the town is responsible for the PFAS contamination resulting from historical firefighting training activities at the Birch Street Fire Station. The town has again engaged Haley and Aldrich to assist the town to meet the requirements of the Massachusetts Contingency Plan. They've submitted a proposal estimating it will cost $150,000 to complete Phase 2 of the Massachusetts Contingency Plan for submission to Mass DEP by June of 2026. I urge your support of this article.
Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 2. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $150,000 to be expended together with the funds previously appropriated, all under the jurisdiction of the Select Board for engineering, consulting, and legal expenses in relation to the environmental hazards on town property in the area of the Charles River Trail behind the property of Benjamin Moore Company.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Walsh.
In 2002, the town entered into an administrative consent order with the Mass DEP to bring the town into compliance with the Massachusetts Contingency Plan regarding the contamination on the Upper Charles Bike Trail and into Milford Pond behind the Benjamin Moore property on Summer Street. In August of 2025, the town submitted Phase 3 of the contingency plan, which lays out the general remediation process to close out this contamination of the site. Mass DEP has subsequently agreed to the removal of 2 feet of soil above and into the remaining contamination, which will then be replaced with 2 feet of clean soil. The town's consultant, Haley and Aldridge, have submitted a proposal estimating it will cost around $150,000 to complete Phase 4 of the contingency plan. Phase 4 is due by August of 2026, includes a detailed plan for remediation, including a cost estimate. The cost estimate will provide the town with an estimate to complete the 5th and final phase of the MCP. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 3. Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $60,000 to be utilized by the Parks Commission to purchase an F-350 4x4 regular cab pickup truck.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator?
Mr. Christofouli.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the need for this article is the replacement of a 2010 pickup truck used for everyday operations of the Parks Department. The truck has more than 150,000 miles and in need of many costly repairs to pass inspection. At this time, it would be cost prohibitive to repair such an old truck. The new truck will also be used as a snowplow for the Highway Department during snow events. I ask for your support on this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 4, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Thank you.
Paul Mazzucchelli, Select Board. This is Article 4. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $290,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the Select Board for the purpose of painting the interior of the Milford Town Hall.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Mazzucchelli.
This article seeks the sum of $290,000 to paint the interior of the Town Hall building, including the Upper Town Hall. The project has been on capital plan and have been done in 2021, but has been passed over for the past 4 years. It is now time to complete this project, and I urge your support for this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 5. Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting member, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $58,000 to be utilized by the Parks Commission to purchase 2 lawnmowers and a brush cutter attachment for Parks Department utilization.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Christofouli.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the need for this article is for the replacement of 2 older mowers that are past their life expectancy and a brush cutter. The mowers are used on the playing fields throughout the town 5 days a week, April through November. Reliability and availability of parts for the machines has been an increasing challenge. It's important to keep the fields mowed weekly for the safety of the athletes playing sports. The brush cutter will be used on our skid steer for year-round brush removal. I ask for your support on this article.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 6.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to accept Ariana Circle for the 212.73 feet, more or less, together with an appurtenant easements as a public way and as described in the report of the Select Board dated September 29, 2025 as follows.
Mr. Walsh, is the legal description of the report of the Select Board the same as the one provided with the warrant that was mailed to all town meeting members?
It is, Mr. Moderator.
It is the same. Does any member object to dispensing with the reading of the legal description of Ariana Circle in the report of the Select Board? Hearing no objection, the motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Refer to sponsor.
Finance Committee recommendation is refer to sponsor. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Ariana Circle was designed and constructed in accordance with the subdivision control law. All work on the roadway has been completed by the developer. This article will simply transfer ownership of the right-of-way and associated drainage easements to the town. I urge your support on this article.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 7. Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $190,000 to be utilized by the Parks Commission for design plans and site work at the Vernon Street Field location in order to establish a new skate park.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Favorable recommendation from the Finance Committee. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Christofouli.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, this article is for the design and engineered construction plans for the proposed skate park and stormwater feature. About 4 years ago, a committee with strong resident involvement was formed to explore the idea of building a skate park in town. Over time, the group met regularly, discussed potential locations and design concepts. In the summer of 2023, the committee attended a Parks Commission meeting and asked if the project could be taken on as an official parks initiative. At the October 2023 special town meeting, funds were approved to conduct a feasibility study and site selection. The study evaluated 10 possible sites around town, and Vernon Street ranked as the top location. The concept design you see on the screen, the concept design you see on the screen was developed through collaboration between committee and local skaters. It features a full concrete park designed for skateboarders, scooters, rollerblades, and BMX bikes. Once the design and construction plans are complete, we'll have a clearer understanding of the overall project cost and can begin exploring grant opportunities to help fund the build. I ask for your support on this article.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 8. Mr. Pillar. Thank you.
Christopher Pilla, Treasurer Collector, at-large member. I move that the town vote to transfer $1.5 million from the Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings, said transfer to be to the Water Enterprise Stabilization Account.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Mr. Pillow.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, in conjunction with the Water Commissioners and the financial team, we thought this was a good time to fund this newly created stabilization account. This past fiscal year, we had $3.2 million certified for the Water Stabilization Fund. We decided to put half of it into the newly acquired stabilization account. We're trying to mimic what we do with the sewer account and save this money for future projects. I urge your support for this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pilla. Any other voter care to be heard? The voter in precinct 2.
My name's Drew Davis, 64 Hayward Street. What I don't understand on the stabilization account is, what's it going to be used for? I mean, here we are, we're on stage 4 or category 4 water, can't do anything. Is any of this money going to go out to drill new wells? That's what I ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Does any member care to respond to Mr. Davis's query? No? Okay. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Okay. Motion is carried. Article 9. Mr. Mazzucchelli. Thank you.
Article 9. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $150,000 to be utilized for the purpose of continuing to address the town-wide ADA improvement plan, or for any other ADA improvement project to benefit the town. Said sum to be divided equally among Park Department, School Department, and overall general government.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Moderator, thank you.
Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the town received the grant to work with a consultant to develop an Americans with Disability Self-Evaluation and Transition Plan. This plan was approved by the Select Board in 2018. The plan provided a report for all town buildings, schools, parks, and recreation areas. The town completed several important ADA projects in 2025. Some of the projects included improvements at Town Park by installing new walkways to allow full accessibility to all areas of the park, and added bench pads with picnic tables and benches throughout the park. A newly renovated bathroom building will allow full accessibility for all. The playground is in the process of completion with additional upgrades such as new swings and installation of matting to be ADA compliant. At Rosenfeld and Inglesey Park, ADA compliant matting was added to walkways to and from bleachers all along the first baselines of the baseball fields. The Park Commission has a plan for improvement at Prospect Heights Park to include compliant walkways and bench areas. Also, at Memorial Hall, an automated door was installed at the first floor entrance. A new ramp was installed at Memorial Hall, and new ADA compliant bathrooms were installed at the Town Hall. I urge your support for this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 10. Mr. Leoch. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Rudy Leoch III, Precinct 6, Sewer Commission Vice Chairman. I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $400,000 from the Sewer Department Stabilization Account, said sum to be utilized for the purpose of an infiltration and inflow research project in relation to the town of Milford sewer system.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote okay to be heard? Mr. Leoch.
This $400,000 is going to be used for professional engineering services for the inflow and infiltration program, phase 1 implementation. This is a requirement from the Mass DEP. Our last inflow test was about 15 years ago, where we had done some significant improvements to the infrastructure, where we found some infiltration and inflow. So I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Leoch. Any other vote okay to be heard? Okay. I just want to remind the voters that pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 5B, an appropriation from a stabilization fund requires a 2/3 vote. Since no one has spoken in opposition, we'll take a voice vote. If the voice vote is not unanimous, then we'll poll the individual precincts. So all those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 11. Thank you.
I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account the sum of money in the amount of $100,000 to pay litigation costs, including consultants, to defend potential claims or lawsuits against the town alleging violation of ADA rules and regulations and/or statutory requirements in relation to the new town pool facilities, the newly renovated town park, and other town facilities.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote okay to be heard? Attorney Murray.
Mr. Moderator, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the need for this article goes back about a year to October of 2024. The town was presented with a claim from an individual in the town that there were accessibility violations in the Pheno Field project as it was being designed, developed, and constructed. The claim included a 37-page report from a consultant alleging a number of claimed violations. The Parks Department, along with the Building Department at that time, and the architect on the pool project reviewed the report carefully and responded to each of the claimed violations, indicating that, in fact, there were no violations. Things were then quiet for a number of months. However, the individual again reached out to the town, claiming that there were violations at the Pheno Field project as constructed. This individual was advised more than one occasion by email to simply send on whatever further violations are claimed in writing to the town, and the town would evaluate them and respond. That never occurred. It was kind of some convoluted claims and discussions, resulting into most recently being contacted by an attorney for this individual, who has indicated that the individual has filed at least 2 complaints right now with the Architectural Access Board regarding violations apparently in Pheno Field. But also, as time has gone on, this individual has claimed violations at the Milford Town Park, and most recently at the town sidewalks and other infrastructure, just generally speaking. So the town is going to be in a position right now, at least in the pool project, as that's closed. The town does not have the benefit of working with the architect on the project. The town is in the position of defending these claims. The need is to hire a consultant, an architect, or an expert to refute these claims and defend the town through the AAB. Obviously, we're waiting on these complaints to come in. They have not as of yet, but when they do, they need to be responded to quickly. We don't want to have to call a special town meeting to hire a consultant. We want to be in a position to defend the town. We don't feel that it's appropriate for the Parks Department or the Highway Department to accommodate these kinds of claims out of their operating budget. It's not fair to their budgets. It's not fair to the taxpayers of the town of Milford who get services from these budgets, and it's not a transparent process. So that's the purpose of this article, and I would ask for your support.
Thank you, Attorney Murray. Any other vote okay to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 12. Mr. Zakili. Thank you. Go ahead.
Joseph Zakili, Precinct 2, Chair of Milford Conservation Commission. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $60,000 to be utilized by the Conservation Commission for consultant services associated with the preparation of the 2026 Open Space Recreation Plan.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Mr. Zakili.
This is a planning step to have funds available if we have to, excuse me, wrong one. Sorry, Liz. The open space plan serves as a guide to the options Milford has for development of future projects. This would replace the 2007 plan currently in place. Having a current open space plan also put this town in a much more favorable position when applying for grants. Some grants will not accept applications without current open space plan. The requirements for grants makes this expense worthwhile. The town engineer will look into the feasibility of using information already available, which could save up to $20,000 of the $60,000 estimate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zakili. Does any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 13. Mr. Thomas. Thank you.
Town meeting members, Terry Thomas, Precinct 6. I move that the town vote to discontinue as public ways portions of streets known as Whale Street and McGill Lane, and said portion of Whale Street lying easterly of I-495 right-of-way, and the portion of McGill Lane being that portion being the final 150 feet of McGill Lane as depicted on the plan entitled Plan of Land 1 McGill Lane, Milford, Mass., scale 1 inch to 60 feet, date September 15, 2025, and prepared by Guerriere and Howland Incorporated of Milford, Mass.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote or care to be heard? Mr. Thomas.
Town meeting members, the construction of Route 495 separated a portion of Whale Street from its connection to Purchase Street. McGill Lane was constructed off Haven Street to reestablish access to the orphaned portion of Whale Street. The portion of McGill closest to Haven Street was developed with single-family houses, but the northern portion connecting to Wales is owned on both sides by the Maspinock Rod and Gun Club. As a public way, the town currently plows and maintains the entire length of McGill. That includes cleaning up dumping that takes place along the undeveloped portion of the dead-end road. To prevent dumping on our property, we are looking to limit unauthorized access to our property. Since the public way north of the single-family homes is undeveloped land owned by Maspinock, there is no benefit to the town to continue maintaining the roadways that are basically a driveway to the club. We worked with planning and engineering, fire, and highway departments to develop a proposal to accommodate fire trucks and plow trucks. We believe the proposal meets the needs of the club and is in the best interest of the town of Milford. I urge you to support this article.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Article 14, Chief Tassino.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator and town meeting members. Chief Robbie Tassino, also of Precinct 4. Article 14, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $135,000 to be utilized to augment the Milford Police Department K-9 program.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote or care to be heard? Chief Tassino.
Ladies and gentlemen, the K-9 program in Milford has been extremely successful. We have 2 active working dogs, and one of the dogs is going to retire. Titan is set to retire. For some of you who don't know, Titan is actually being honored this weekend at Gillette Stadium. Titan recently responded to a 5-year-old autistic boy that wandered away from his house, and within minutes was found in waist-deep water and rescued. Without that dog, we're having a much different conversation. The other K-9 components have been invaluable in search and rescue. And what we're looking to do is to put on a 3rd dog and help replace Titan because, like I said, he's set to retire. Before you ask, we have grants and we exhaust them. We're very lucky. We're part of the Stanton Foundation, and they're very generous. We also solicit funds and donations to augment food, vet bills. So we have a pretty good handle on the finances. But again, to put up that 3rd dog and assign that dog to the midnight shift when minutes count, it's just going to make a big difference in our response time in serving the citizens. I encourage you to support this.
Thank you, Chief Tassino. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 15. Attorney Murray. Thank you.
I move that the town vote to amend the Town of Milford zoning bylaw relating to accessory dwelling units as follows by amending Section 3.19 accessory dwelling unit and inserting the following language at the subsection so designated.
Attorney Murray, is the text of the amendments the same, exactly the same as appears in the warrant?
It is.
Okay, they are the same. Does any member object to dispensing with the reading of the amendments to the zoning bylaw relating to accessory dwelling units? Hearing no objection, the motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Refer to sponsor.
Finance Committee recommendation is refer to sponsor. Does the Planning Board have a report? Mr. Mainini.
Marble Manini, Precinct 6. At a public hearing dated September 16, 2025, the Milford Planning Board voted 3-1 to recommend a favorable action to the town meeting for the application of the Select Board to amend Section 3.19 of the zoning bylaws relating to accessory dwelling units.
Thank you, Mr. Mainini. Any vote care to be heard? Attorney Murray. You have to get some assistance there again.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you may recall last year this body passed the zoning bylaw relating to accessory dwelling units. Some of us may refer to them in-law apartments, that type of thing. The legislature had just passed the law making ADUs allowable by right. We put together a bylaw based upon the statute at that time. It was reviewed by the Attorney General's office, as all amendments to zoning bylaws are. The Attorney General's office got back to us indicating that actually Milford was the second town in the Commonwealth to file a zoning bylaw in response to the new law, and the Attorney General's office gave us a 15-page response on the bylaw, essentially okaying some of the provisions, but holding back on other provisions and detailing reasons why those provisions were not acceptable. This article before you now seeks to fill in the gaps in accordance with the direction from the Attorney General's office for the zoning bylaw, particularly as it relates to site plan review, which is really one of the few regulatory controls that the town has over these particular projects. But there's certain aspects in our existing bylaw that are not applicable to ADU, so this amendment seeks to omit those sections that are not applicable but require compliance with the other sections that are. The other three sections are really technical, but again, the purpose of this is to get compliance with the direction from the Attorney General's office so that the town has a meaningful zoning bylaw in place for the planning board, the zoning board, whatever, to be able to look at these particular projects and deal with them in a responsible fashion.
Thank you, Attorney Murray. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Mainini.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move to amend Article 15, accessory dwelling units bylaw, as follows: by deleting Section 3.19.1.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to amend Article 15, accessory dwelling unit bylaw amendment as follows: by deleting Section 3.19.1. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Mainini.
By deleting this article for the site plan review, it frees up the planning board. The planning board has no jurisdiction to change any ADU unit or any unit whatsoever that complies with the zoning bylaws. You can build a house on a project no site plan review is required. If you're building a unit with an ADU, you have to have a site, with this law, you have to have a site plan, which is ridiculous because the building commissioner is the one who gives the building permit out if it follows the zoning bylaws. And if we have a zoning bylaw before us, we can't change it if it follows the zoning bylaws. So by doing this, we're just eliminating one useless piece for a member. And as the thing is, the bylaw, the site plan is presented, now we have to send out to the fire department, the water department, the sewer department for their recommendations on something, again, we cannot change. So it seems a waste of time for the planning board and all the other town departments to go through this site plan review that nobody can change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mine. Any voter care to be heard on the amendment? Attorney Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. With all due respect to the previous speaker, I suppose if that was the case, why do we have site plan review at all for any project? The difference here with site plan review under this ADU statute, it takes away the ability for the planning board to deny it based on use, which is something that exists in other parts of the site plan review. The Attorney General's office was clear in indicating that the scope of site plan approval is for as of right uses is limited to imposing reasonable terms and conditions on the use. So, okay, maybe we do have to send out some departments to look at these sites, but I think there may be situations where some of these ADUs are in neighborhoods or lots which might not have been envisioned for those, and a review by the fire department certainly may be a prudent thing, not only for the homeowner but also for folks in the neighborhood. Again, it's not going to give the planning board the ability to deny it, but they can impose reasonable use reasonable restrictions on the properties. It's one of the few rights of review that the town has in this aspect. So again, this is a new statute. We're kind of in new territory here. To me, the more prudent course of action would be to go forward with the article as originally presented. Let's see how it works through our processes. This is the kind of process that's been recommended by the Attorney General's office. If it does prove to be too problematic for whatever reasons that the chairman may have indicated, we can certainly review it at a future meeting to make some further changes to it. But I do feel that it has value, and I would ask that the amendment be defeated.
Thank you, Attorney Murray. Any other voter care to be heard on the amendment to the main motion? Mr. Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for recognizing me. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Visconti. I live at number 7 Muriel Lane in Milford. I'm a town meeting member from Precinct 8. As the previous speaker just indicated, the key words were, why have planning board review on any development? We need this planning board review. It is important that the planning board review any of these applications. We cannot rely solely on the building department to ensure that these ADUs are constructed correctly. So please, as the previous speaker just indicated, deny this article. Thank you.
I believe the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Visconti. Any other voter care to be heard on the amendment? Mr. Morelli. Oh, Mr. Wilson. Excuse me.
Christopher Wilson, Precinct 8, and also a planning board member. I'm in favor of this amendment. Also, obviously, being a planning board member, you're hearing that you want site plan review, but again, this is just a step in the process that really, planning board's not going to have any sort of clause in being able to accept or deny these types of things. You know, I leave it to the building commissioner that he will oversee and look at these types of projects to ensure that they are being kind of built in within the building codes and within our bylaws. So again, I would support this amendment to the article.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Any other voter care to be heard on the amendment to the main motion? If not, the question comes upon the motion to the main motion, which is to amend Article 15, accessory dwelling unit bylaw amendment as follows by deleting section 3.19.1. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. The motion to amend is defeated. Any other voter care to be heard on the main motion to amend the bylaw, zoning bylaw on accessory dwellings? Okay. I'm going to remind the voters that pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 5, amending the zoning bylaw relating to accessory dwelling units requires just a simple majority. So all those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried. Article 16. Mr. Crisafulli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $90,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the highway surveyor for the purposes of 25% design of the Cedar Street and East Main Street intersection.
A motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Crisafulli.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the intersection in question is in critical need of a complete redesign to address the long-standing safety and congestion issues. In 2024, we applied for a bottleneck grant to initiate improvements. However, it became clear that the scope and scale of the necessary upgrades exceeded what the bottleneck grant was designed to support. Following the consultation with Mass DOT, we were advised to pursue inclusion of the project on the Transportation Improvement Program. To begin this process, a 25% design submission is required. We are requesting $90,000 in funding to complete the 25% design phase. This amount represents a portion of the total estimated cost of $546,700 for full design. Completion of the 25% design is a critical milestone that will position the project for the TIP funding in future construction. I ask for your support on this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crisafulli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 17. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote and amend the general bylaws by striking Article 36, therefore, and inserting in place, therefore, a new Article 36 as follows. Stormwater management bylaw.
Mr. Mainini, is the text of the new stormwater management bylaw, is it the same as is printed in the warrant?
Yes, it is, Mr. Moore.
It's exactly the same then. Does any member object to dispensing with the reading of the stormwater management bylaw? Hearing no objection, the motion is made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Refer to sponsor.
Finance Committee recommendation is refer to sponsor. Any voter care to be heard?
You.
Mr. Mainini.
No, wrong Manini.
Oh.
Elizabeth Mainini, town engineer, and I at 5 Bandy Lane. The proposed update of the Milford Stormwater Management Bylaws is a result of an enforcement from EPA. The update will bring Milford into compliance with the MS4 permit issued by the EPA. If these regulations are not adopted tonight, a financial penalty will likely be levied by EPA. I urge your support.
Thank you, Ms. Mainini. Does any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 18.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to seek special legislation, which legislation would permit said board to appoint a highway surveyor as follows. Be it enacted, etc., as follows. Section 1. The Select Board of the Town of Milford may appoint a highway surveyor for a term of up to 5 years. Notwithstanding Sections 108A and 108C of Subchapter 41, and any bylaw adopted under those sections, the Select Board may establish an employment contract with a highway surveyor on the same terms and conditions and subject to the same limitations as contained within Section 108N of said Chapter 41, applicable to other municipal employees as designated in that section. Section 2. This act shall take effect upon its passage.
Motion has been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Town meeting members, the Select Board is seeking special legislation to change the highway surveyor from an elected position to an appointed position. The legislation would also authorize the Select Board to enter into an employment contract with the highway surveyor. The position of highway surveyor has grown in responsibility and as required it requires a skill set such as what we're seeing in a number of these different articles related to wastewater, related to stormwater, related to paving of roads, etc. The position of highway surveyor, the ability to appoint the highway surveyor will attract a wider pool of candidates with strong credentials and relevant professional experience. An appointed position will also provide the opportunity for the town to define job requirements and reporting structure, specifying clear expectations of the position and its relationship with management and other department head positions. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Visconti first, then I'll get to Mr. Allegrezzo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, once again for recognizing me. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Mike Visconti. My address is number 7 Muriel Lane. I'm a town meeting member from Precinct 8. This article seeks to take away the right of the voters of the town to elect a highway surveyor, which is a very important position. Every time election comes up, the highway surveyor is on the ballot. We have forums. The voters can ask the highway surveyor candidates questions. Each of the candidates lays out their qualifications for everybody to see and vote on. If we do not allow the voters of Milford to elect our highway surveyor and have our highway surveyor appointed, we lose the opportunity to decide who is going to run our departments. Of the 351 municipalities in Massachusetts, a mere 5% appoint their highway surveyor or help me out here, let me see, highway surveyor or public works head, chief, whatever you want to call him. That's got to tell you something. No one has told us yet why we need to change this. Is there something wrong? Our highway surveyor that we have now does a magnificent job and should be credited for it. There's no need to change this and take the voting away from the taxpayers of this town. Please defeat this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Visconti. Any other vote okay to be heard? Mr. Allegrezza.
Town meeting members, my name is Greg Allegrezza. I live on Purchase Street, and I'm a member of Precinct 8. I tend to agree with Mr. Visconti. Despite the fact that I have the utmost respect and faith in our current select board, they're not always going to be there. This position has always been elected. Anytime we give up our rights to vote in someone, I know there's a worry that maybe they won't be qualified. I don't know if there's anything that says there has to be certain minimum qualifications to be put on the ballot. If that's not true, then it's up to the voters to be informed enough to vote for a candidate that they think is qualified. I'm very reluctant to give up any type of voting rights. Anytime we put the power in a minimum number of people as opposed to the 30,000 people in the town, it can be politicized, and I think that's a worry that we need to be concerned of. I think if no one is on the ballot, like if we don't have anyone to run, then maybe we have something in the bylaws that say, okay, it can be appointed by the select board. But for me, I don't think we should be giving up our right to vote for our highway surveyor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allegrezza. Any other vote care to be heard? Mr. Nero.
Donato Nero, 7 North Vine Street. I've watched 5 highway surveyors in my lifetime in Milford, some better than others, some very good, and some exceptional. In that time, there was no one that was unqualified. All were selected by the voters from their collective judgment and expertise. The FinCom explanation states, the article, this is not meant to indicate any issue with the current highway surveyor, but the selectmen will have authority after you vote favorable on this to replace him immediately. Select a new highway surveyor. We select a new highway surveyor, or they will select one of their choice. I worked in the civilian construction industry for 10 years, was trained as a combat engineer in the military, building roads, bridges, and all types of structures, and commander of the headquarters that supervised all these projects. I would ask the selectmen to come to the microphone and tell us what their expertise is in selecting a highway surveyor, what they bring to the table in their knowledge. A highway surveyor deals with building roads, bridges, all types of structures, all types of engineering and cost issues, all types of repairs to projects within the town, hiring competent personnel that can handle all types of construction, hiring the people that work for him and choosing all manner of contractors to deal with highway issues and projects. Selectmen, ask you to come to the microphone and give us your resume to how you might select anybody for this position and what qualifications you have. We have a law enforcement officer, a member of the Board of Health, and a member is from the automotive industry. Explain to us how you could make a better selection than the voters. How your new selectman process would replace or improve what the voters have done in their selection process that's resulted in over 50 years of extremely competent people, superior individuals in some cases. Please come to the mic and enlighten us, inform us how uninformed, foolish voters, not intelligent enough to make the right choice when you are. Tell us what skills you have and what expertise you have to make a selection as complicated as this, and especially how foolish the voters were who selected you.
Thank you. Hey. We don't clap here. Thank you. Mr. Rasmussen.
Peter Rasmussen, Precinct 1. This is a slippery slope, and the select board has tried to do it before with our water commission, with the way we select the police chief, and they were voted down. We should vote them down again now. This is a democratic process, and I'm very happy with Mr. Christopher. We should continue to vote him, but we should not let the board decide when they want to hire and when they want to fire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rasmussen. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the Select Board doesn't want to take any rights away from the voters at all. Just to give you a little background how this all came up is we were asking Scott to take over a certain responsibility from another board. And he was all set to do it. And then it was found out legally he couldn't because state statute gives the highway surveyor certain responsibilities. And if you look at those responsibilities, like I would like to have Mr. Christofoli explain to you, it's probably 5 or 6 sentences. So whatever Scott was doing, or any other highway surveyor for the past 70 years was actually doing, was above and beyond those responsibilities. And again, you know, times have changed. I wrote some notes down as Mr. Nero was speaking too. And again, Mr. Nero, I have the utmost respect for him. I don't know why he doesn't respect us, but anyway, for the past 70 years, there has been a model of electing the highway surveyor. But over that time, a lot has changed, such as our roads, our drainage systems, capital planning, emergency coordination and responses. A lot more than what the current job allows, which I was trying to explain a little while ago. So the appointment will allow us to expand the roles and responsibilities to align with modern standards and better serve the residents. If Scott wanted to stick to that paragraph, that state law gives him the only responsibilities to do, we wouldn't even have a highway department, to be honest with you. And I would like Scott to explain that to you as well. He can probably do it a lot better than I could. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not about politics. It's about practicality. It's about enhancing this position. Again, to repeat myself for effectiveness, we have no intentions of taking away your right to vote. If there's another way to do it, we'll do it. If you don't want to have a position to be appointed, so be it. But again, we don't have any dog in this race, I can tell you right now. Scotty, can Mr. Moderator, I'm well done.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. DeLuzio.
Reno Deluzio, Precinct 7. This walk is getting longer, maybe it's because I'm getting older. One of the two. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I rise in support of making the highway surveyor an appointed position which I believe is long overdue. I stood at this podium some 12 years ago in support of changing the town treasurer from an elected to appointed position. Much of what I said then is also applicable to this position. My view is that government positions that make policy decisions should be elected, and positions requiring specific skills and qualifications should be appointed. For example, we elect the Board of Selectmen, the School Committee, the Board of Health, Board of Assessors, Planning Board, and 240 town meeting members. Their members represent different constituencies, views, and opinions, and through deliberation and voting make policy decisions. The highway surveyor clearly does not fit in this category. On the other hand, we don't elect the town administrator, superintendent of schools, the health agent, the town treasurer, the town accountant, the finance director, the building commissioner, or police and fire chiefs. These positions require professionals with specific skills and qualifications. Of the 17 elected positions, the only 2 positions requiring specialized qualifications and experience are highway surveyor and the tree warden. The scope of duties and responsibilities of the highway surveyor, specialized highway surveyor, have dramatically increased over the past 20 years. It is not unreasonable to expect a candidate for this position to have extensive management experience in the construction field, be knowledgeable in heavy equipment operation and maintenance, be familiar with pavement assessment and snow removal technologies, be able to submit and defend operating and capital budgets, and be familiar with state-mandated MS4 stormwater management requirements, to name just a few, and there are many more in the draft job description. In my view, I would not favor leaving the highway surveyor position being filed via a general election by someone whose only qualifications are at least 18 years old, be a registered voter of the town, be able to obtain 50 signatures to get on the ballot, and be skilled at running a political campaign, but may have little or no skills or qualifications to manage the highway department. However, if the highway surveyor was an appointed position, a much stronger pool of qualified candidates for the position would come forth if they knew they would be subjected to a standard application and interview process rather than being faced with campaigning to seek election, which many qualified professionals aren't willing or able to do. I also do not subscribe to the notion that making the highway surveyor an appointed position somehow takes power away from the electorate and erodes the democratic process. The electorate still maintains its prerogative to express its displeasure with the highway surveyor through the select board, which is in real time rather than waiting for the next election to do so at the ballot. In recent history, the select board, through their open and transparent appointment process, have had a good track record of hiring qualified people to run the town departments. This open process does not guarantee the elimination of political favoritism, but at least it takes place among a field of applicants, all of whom have the skills and qualifications for the position. I have complete confidence that the Select Board will continue this open process of choosing the next highway surveyor. In conclusion, I leave you with a bit of history to consider. At the 2013 election, we dodged the bullet. 2,574 voters voted out of 17,183 registered voters, a mere 15%, voted for treasurer. We were all grateful that Barbara Auger, the incumbent, ran for re-election, and she won handily. The town meeting subsequently voted 171 to change the treasurer's position from elected to appointed. In the final analysis, the question becomes, Is the electorate better served by hoping an elective candidate for highway surveyor with the required professional skills and qualifications would come forward and would have the ability to run a campaign? Even if such a person were to appear, at the end of the day, the highway surveyor would be selected by whomever garnered the most votes, which is not very many, as evidenced by low turnout. Or is the electorate better served by assuring a person with the required professional skills and qualifications will be selected from a field of applicants, all of whom, by virtue of their job description and application process, would have the required professional skills and qualifications? In my view, the Highway Department's extensive, varied, and important duties and responsibilities require someone with the credentials and qualifications to be its manager. It is unnecessarily risky to have the selection to chance. For all these reasons, I strongly urge you to support these articles.
Thank you, Mr. DeLucio. Any other voter care to be heard? The voter in the back there in precinct 7. Excuse me, 6. Got to turn the signs. Oh, it's Mr. Rickert. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brendan Rickert, Precinct 6. I only have a clarifying question. I do support this general idea. Section 2 of this article states that this takes effect immediately. So does that mean that our current elected highway surveyor term has effectively ended tonight? And who is our highway surveyor as of 12 o'clock tomorrow morning? Thank you, Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
The answer to that question, I was reading to you the legislation that the town would have to send to the legislature. The legislature, if they voted in favor of this particular piece of legislation as it was presented to you, then it would go into effect upon passage at the legislature and signing by the governor. So nothing would take place after this evening's meeting other than to refer the matter to Representative Murray to bring forward to the legislature.
Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Visconti.
And thank you once again, Mr. Moderator, for recognizing me. And once again, and probably for the last time, voters, my name is Mike Visconti. I live at number 7 Muriel Lane, town meeting member from Precinct 8. I'm a little confused with this argument. Logically, it seems basic to me. Ponder this. We rely on the voters of our town to elect our select board members. We rely on the voters of our town to elect our school committee members. Arguably two of the most important boards and committees in this town. Why would we not rely on the voters to elect our highway surveyor? Not to diminish the highway surveyor's position, but why would we not rely on them to elect our highway surveyor? As one of the previous speakers said, over the last 50 years, we've had great highway surveyors and we've had magnificent highway surveyors. In my opinion, one of those magnificent highway surveyors is sitting right here in front of me. So please, vote no on this article. Let the voters decide, as we have for years, who the next highway surveyor is going to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Visconti. Any other voter care to be heard? Voter in precinct right there. I don't know. Precinct 8 again.
Thomas LaPrade, 179 Purchase Street, Precinct 8. A lot of what I'm hearing here, and a lot of what the reasoning given for the need for this article seems to come down to a lot of issues that could be solved just by changing other laws around the qualifications and responsibilities for the position. Beyond that, I don't really know why we would have to take it away from the voters. given that generally, yeah, as people have brought up, the select board are just, a group of fairly normal people from the town, don't have specific qualifications themselves, and are not necessarily going to be able to make a better decision than the voters. I'd be a lot more amenable to it if, you had a committee of highway experts that were making the decision. But yeah, the core of this is just that I think we could keep it in the hands of the voters and change the other rules, requirements to be considered, stuff like that.
Thank you, Mr. LaPrade. The voter in Precinct 1, Mr. Trolby Wright, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Zach Trolley Wright, Precinct 1. So my whole thing on this is, it's like we said before, not to repeat ancient history, it's been an elected position. People have been capable and qualified to do the position before. If we need to change the position, I think people would be open to that. But I believe it's in our best interest to keep it an elected position. We all are capable of voting for somebody who's qualified. People run their campaigns. They can sell and market themselves if they have the experience. I just don't think it needs to be an appointed position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trolby Wright. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Johansson in Precinct 4.
Andrew Johansson, 4 Hollis Street, number 2, Precinct 4. Mr. Moderator, we've had a long history of having the highway surveyor directly selected, and we've had very good highway surveyors up to this point. And as one of the previous speakers mentioned, the overwhelming majority of cities and towns in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts don't have appointed highway surveyors. I would urge the members to keep this decision in the hands of the voters, and that's how I'm going to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johansson. Mr. Walsh.
A couple of points that were made earlier by previous speakers. I'm glad to find out tonight that I'm normal. All kidding aside, it was stated they wanted to know my qualifications for picking a highway surveyor. And I would say to you, town meeting members, on my time serving as a select board member, I've appointed a fire chief and I've appointed a police chief. And to be right up front with you, I wouldn't know how to load a firearm. I wouldn't know how to hitch up a fire hose to a fire truck. But what I do know how to do is I do know how to take information from the good people that work in town hall and bring me the information that I need to make a decision and to do my own research so that in my position, only one of 3, that I appoint for you the person that is duly and best qualified for that position in this community. The reason that we would like to move this from an elected position to an appointed position is not to take any authority away from you at all. What we're looking to do is to streamline the government in this community. And let me just bring up one example that's got to be very frustrating for you as town meeting members, but how about all the registered voters out in the community that really don't understand the structure of how things work? So in the last 6 months, we've had some pretty big projects going on in this community. And whether I'm at 10 o'clock Mass, walking down Main Street, or sitting in my home and my phone jumping off the wall, and people asking me, well, why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? And it's very hard for me to say to those people, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do for you, because that person is in an elected position. You have to reach out to that person, because there's nothing that I can do for you. And that's very frustrating, because I sit in the chair that I sit in every single day because the voters of this community put me there. As a previous speaker stated, what are my qualifications? My qualifications are the registered voters in this community that had enough faith in me to put me in that seat. Those are my qualifications, that I will make the best decision for the voters of this community. And I go back to have you reach out to me and I can't help you is just not right. It's not right. We need to streamline this position. And again, I go back to, in my time as a selectman, I've been part of appointing a police chief. I've been part of appointing a fire chief. And I got to be honest with you, those two departments are running very, very well. Why? Because we appointed the best people to run those departments. And so your right is to, when you vote for somebody in the Board of Selectmen, you're putting in that person, in that seat, the faith, your faith, to make the decision on any appointed position that's going to have the best interest of this community. That's all this is. This is not a power struggle. None of us are on a power trip. Trust me when I tell you. We need to move this position into an appointed position so that from this point forward, when projects are being done and the voters of this community get involved and pick up the phone or stop me on the street, or maybe by the time I move on, the next selectman that sits in my chair will be able to say to you, I hear your concern and let me get back to you. Instead of looking at you and saying, well, I hear you, but there's nothing I can do. Because the next thing that comes out of that person is, well, what do you mean? You're a selectman. I voted for you. Yes, you did, and thank you very much. But what you're talking about is somebody that's in an elected position. Not to be repetitive, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to move forward. Take this position from an elected position to an appointed position so that we can streamline the government of this community and make it more efficient. I urge you, please, to support this.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Allegrezza.
Greg Allegrezza, Precinct 8, Purchase Street, Milford. Little does anybody that knows me knows I'm not usually a flip-flopper, but after hearing Mr. DeLuzio's arguments, I'm flip-flopping. For a few reasons. Little did I know that the state has limits on what the highway surveyor can do, so if it becomes an appointed position, the selectmen can now increase the responsibilities and come more in line with modern issues that we need the highway surveyor to do. 3 years is like a position in a full-time job, and he's got to run every 3 years to maybe keep his job, where if it's an elected position, if it's an appointed position, he'll have 5 years, and then if he's not doing his job, the selectmen or the committee, if we have a committee, just for a little FYI, I was on the police chief's committee, and we narrowed it down in 6 months so the select board can appoint the police chief, and I must say that Chief Tazzino is doing a hell of a job. The other thing that I wrote down was that in an elected position, a lot of people will not come forward to put their name on a public ballot So you're not going to get as many people, as many, what's the word I'm looking for? Qualified, thank you. Sometimes the brain stops. Qualified people that are going to apply for this position where we could have a larger field. And then the other ones, limited duties, policy. Oh, the other point that Mr. DeLuzio made was that the appointed positions all have to do more with like specific duties and requirements and experience levels, where the elected positions are more, like you said, anybody can run for school committee if they have an ability to express themselves or have a care about the school. And the other elected positions don't necessarily need those specific requirements that a highway surveyor would have to have. So, like I said, I flip-flopped, and now I'm going to support the point making this to an appointed position.
Thank you, Mr. Allegrezza. Any other voter care to be heard? Attorney Murray.
I'd like to try to give this a little bit of legal context. I certainly recognize and understand and sympathize with the appeal of voter selection. However, the crux of the issue which the town is facing right now, it's Chapter 41, Section 62, and these are the duties of the highway surveyor, and I'll read it. If a highway surveyor be chosen, he shall have the exclusive control of the ordinary repair of public ways in his town without being subject to the authority of the selectmen. That's it. Ordinary repairs of the roads in the town. Milford has a decentralized government. It's always been that way. It's something that we're used to. We have individuals separately elected who oversee the Parks Department. We have individuals separately elected who oversee the Sewer Department, individuals who oversee the cemetery. It's always worked that way. To me, it's sort of been effective. That gets more and more difficult as issues get more and more complex in society. A lot of towns don't do that. They have a centralized government. So when you think about the duties of the highway surveyor right now in Milford, you probably take it for granted, even though it's not statutorily authorized. The highway surveyor is operating the town's transfer station, which handles all the solid waste removal throughout the town. There's no legal authority to do that. The highway surveyor operates the leaf dump off of Asylum Street, which handles all of our yard waste and compost and other material. The highway surveyor has no authority to do that. The highway surveyor really has been the point person for stormwater management for, I don't know, the last 20 years when I was on the board. The highway surveyor has no authority to do that. The highway surveyor maintains the lighting along the roads, sidewalks. There's no authority to do that. The police department maintains the traffic lights, which is something that goes back to when Chief O'Loughlin was there. To me, that never seemed to be right. It ought to be part of, quote unquote, a public works department. The highway surveyor wants to try to coordinate that. He has no authority to do that. The kicker, which I think all of us would get upset with, the highway surveyor picks up everybody's leaves. The leaf removal program. There's no authority to do that. So that's the bind that Milford is in right now. To go the other way, and I know it was suggested by a number of people, we can set up different regulations, different laws, different requirements. Sure, we could try to establish a public works department where the highway surveyor would be generally an appointed employee of a public works director. That would overlap with the Parks Department, the Water Department, the Sewer Department, the trustees of the cemetery, and so forth. It would be a massive undertaking and a massive reshaping of town government. We could leave things the way they are. And by law, the highway surveyor can't do all of these different jobs that the department has been doing. And if we leave it the way they are, if we leave things the way they are, the town's going to have to come up with alternatives. That means hiring additional staff to handle all of these different functions that come underneath the highway department right now. So that's the genesis of all of this. Certainly the appeal of voting for the highway director, direct democracy, absolutely. That's what everyone would want, and that's what we would want to have. This isn't about that. And the accountability to the voters, that's still there. It's not with the highway surveyor, however, it's with the select board. And it was referred to, that's what occurred 12 years ago when the financial department was brought under the umbrella of the Board of Selectmen, and the treasurer was no longer independently elected. It allowed the town to go forward and develop a finance department with a finance director, a combined collector and treasurer. You don't have separate positions anymore. It was a streamlined process, and it worked quite well. That's the intent behind this. The only way that the town can get by the statutory limitations of highway surveyor is special legislation. And that's what this article seeks to do. So this would be a special legislation passed by both the House and the Senate, signed by the governor. That would enable the select board to then fashion a contract for the named highway surveyor, who no longer would draw his authority from the Massachusetts general laws. He would draw his authority, or she would draw their authority through the special legislation. And that contract can be shaped and modified to fit the needs of the town of Milford, so that that individual, that department could lawfully handle the transfer station, handle the leaf dump, take care of our leaves, handle the lights, deal with stormwater, and all of these other functions. So that's really the context we're in. That's what this discussion is about. It's very difficult because there is that natural direct voter appeal, and it is tough to combat that. But times change, things get complex, and this is where the town of Milford is right now.
Thank you, Attorney Murray. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Visconti.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for once again recognizing me. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Visconti lives at number 7 Muriel Lane, town meeting member from Precinct 8. Ladies and gentlemen, as the previous speaker is aware, just because the statute defines the highway surveyor's responsibility as taking care of our roads and highways, it in no way, shape, or form precludes the highway surveyor from taking on other responsibilities. The statute is silent with that respect. So the highway surveyor can take on other responsibilities if it assists the town. And that is what every highway surveyor we have had for the last 50 years has done. Please vote no on this article.
Thank you, Mr. Visconti. Any other voter care to be heard? Mr. Agajanian. Mr. Agajanian has moved the question. It's an attempt to cut off debate. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak on the motion. Does anybody else want to speak on the motion? Okay, well, we got a motion to move the previous question. It's an attempt to shut off debate. It is not debatable. It requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of moving the previous question will please rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. If you want to end the debate, okay, 2 in favor. Okay, all those opposed to moving the previous question will please rise and remain standing. Okay. Precinct 1. Precinct 1, 6 in favor, 9 opposed. Precinct 2. Precinct 2, 10 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3, 5 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4, 8 in favor, 3 opposed. Precinct 5. Precinct 5, 9 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 6. Precinct 6, 14 in favor, none opposed. Precinct 7. Precinct 7, 12 in favor, 4 opposed. Precinct 8. 4 in favor, 15 opposed. Precinct 8, at large. At large is 0 in favor, 16 opposed, and remote is 2 in favor and none opposed. We got
86 and 59.
70. What did I count? Hold on. Yeah. No, I got 70 still.
Okay, I'll double check.
Yeah, check your. Yep. Got 70. Okay. 70 having voted in favor, 59 opposed. The motion is not carried, so necessary 2/3 wasn't met, so debate will continue. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Crisafulli.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I suppose I should be the one to talk about my job. I've been a highway surveyor for almost 20 years, elected, and I've been working at the highway department for over 30 years. In the 20 years since I started as highway surveyor, my job has grown and grown and grown, and I'm not telling you my responsibilities amongst the town have grown a little bit, as the other speakers have said. I've taken on other parts, I guess. But what I need to know and what I need to deal with, I really think if anybody could have this job, anybody could come up here and do my job, I think you'd be in for a surprise. It is not that easy. I just retired as president of Mass Highway Association, where I work with DPW directors on the board throughout the state. There's over 400 people involved in it. And we talk about these things. We talk about their responsibilities, and I talk about mine, and they laugh at me when they say, "You're still elected? That's amazing." You know, it's an amazing position to have elected, absolutely. But there's only 4 of us in Massachusetts. That's a fact. There's only 4 elected highway surveyors, including me. That's it. The rest of the people have been appointed. So, and there's a reason for that, and I think Brian hit on a lot of those reasons, that our responsibility is above and beyond what I'm really supposed to be doing. I mean, I'd love to go to work all day and just worry about streets and potholes, and that's it. But I have to deal with the EPA, the DEP. The list goes on and on and on. I mean, DOT requirements in the last 10 years, everything's an inspection. Every bridge is inspected. Every dam is inspected. Every culvert's going to be starting to get inspected. Street lights are getting inspected. It's constant change that to have no knowledge or any background in this is difficult. I've been lucky enough to do it for 20 years, so I've learned on the way, and these changes have been slow. But to jump in there and do that today, you do need to be qualified. That's a fact. I wouldn't want anybody to come in and do my job. You'd be tearing your hair out. So, I mean, I like being elected. It's you know, it gives you the control of your department, full control, as Mike has said, Selectman Mike. But we're beyond that. You know, you call the highway department and you have a problem, as long as I'm there, you'll be talking to me, whether I'm elected, appointed, it doesn't matter. We still got to fix the problem. We still have to take care of our residents. That's what our job is. That's what my job is. Whether I'm elected or appointed, doesn't matter. Bridge. We have a bridge that's closed. And believe it or not, out of all the stuff I read, all the social media and everything, the only thing I've ever heard is 5 phone calls in the last 4 months. 5 people have called me to ask me a question about it, which is crazy. It is. I think they've called the select board more than they called me. So you're not using me as your elected official. You're not calling me. You know, and then, well, again, whether I'm elected or not, I'm still responsible for that project. That project took 6 years of planning. Believe it or not, 6 years between getting grants, consultants, designs being not accepted by the DOT, finally get one accepted, the whole procurement process, finding a company to do the work, putting out the bid, the whole thing. That's experience you need to do. That's my job. I don't think anybody in this room, maybe if you're in construction you understand it, but who's going to come and do all that if I wasn't here to do it, or someone that was qualified wasn't here to do it? You need that qualification now. This has become a professional job. I don't know, I just think the highway surveyor could best serve the town as an appointed official with the qualifications for the job. I see that clear as day. I think our town engineer can see that. We work together on many projects, and she knows what I put up with, and I know what she has to deal with. And it's all professionalism. It's not the olden days. It's not, you know, back in the 60s or 70s when there was no DEP bothering us. There was no EPA and stormwater management itself. I don't think too many people even know what that is. But we have to know it inside and out. We have to comply. So you have to know these things. You can't do a job if you don't know what the job consists of. That's not in the job description. My town job description is from 1979. It's 5 paragraphs, and it says roads. It says fields and school property, believe it or not, which is something I don't do. I wrote a job description just to see what I really do, and it's huge. It's a lot. And again, I think it's more of a professional job than most people think it is. Today, I had to sign an RFI. If you know what that is, it's a change order for a project, for the bridge project. You got to know what you're signing. You have to understand the process and the project and all the design work and the plans that changed. You have to know that. You know, it's not. I come from the construction field. I've been doing it all my life, so I have that advantage. I already knew it. But again, that's experience and knowledge. We have a pavement management system. We have an asset management system. That's all GIS. I run a whole GIS program with all our assets in the highway department, from streetlights to road signs to road markings to streets. All the streets are graded. I mean, as far as conditions and what needs to be done with them and all the different processes, I have to decide what to do. It's a lot. It really is. I'm not saying no one could do it, but to step into it if you have no experience at all would be tough. I don't think you'd be able to go on my computer and figure out the millions of files I have and what they are. It's a lot. That's all I can really say. I like being elected. I like working for you guys. I love it. You know, I love that I can work one-on-one with everybody. But I think for the town's benefit, this needs to be more of a professional position, and it needs to be treated as such. I don't know what else I can say. I'm not against getting, you know, appointed if that's the select board's goal to do that. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think you should either. I'm just thinking it's time. It really is time. Like, I would like to take over the trash pickup. Again, that's not going to happen. And we're going to do it through the Board of Health, which in Massachusetts is unheard of. It should be through a DPW. It shouldn't be going through the Board of Health. And I'm not saying we're going to be a DPW, but it gives us something else to do that we can handle in-house without a problem. But can't do that as long as I'm elected. They're not going to let that happen. So, I mean, I don't really have much else to say. That's about it. I just think it can be better served as an appointed position for the experience and the education people need for these jobs today. They're not what they were 20 years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion, which is the town vote to authorize the select board to seek special legislation, which legislation would permit said board to appoint a highway surveyor. All those in favor will please rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. I got it. Thank you. Okay, all those opposed will please rise and remain standing until counted by the monitors. Okay. Precinct 1. Precinct 1, 9 in favor, 6 opposed. Precinct 2. Precinct 2, 12 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 3. Precinct 3, 9 in favor, none opposed. Precinct 4. Precinct 4, 12 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 5. Precinct 5, 10 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 6. Precinct 6, 13 in favor, 1 opposed. Precinct 7. Precinct 7, 14 in favor, 2 opposed. Precinct 8. Precinct 8, 13 in favor, 3 opposed. At large.
15 in favor, 1 opposed.
At large, 15 in favor, 1 opposed. And remote is 2 in favor, none opposed. What do you got? 109 having voted in favor, 17 opposed. The motion is carried. Article 19, please. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of money in the amount of $200,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the highway surveyor for any and all necessary required to ensure the town remains compliant with Environmental Protection Agency stormwater general permit for stormwater discharges from small municipal separate storm sewer systems, MS4.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the purpose of this article is for professional consultant service to maintain the town's continued compliance with the Environmental Protection Agency's stormwater MS4 permit. The permit's first 5 years focused on planning and design, while years 6 through 20 are dedicated to implementation. The town is currently in the implementation phase, which includes various stormwater improvements such as new structures at Town Park and Pheno Field, as well as a bylaw modifications adopted under Article 17. With help from the Charles River Watershed Association, these projects were constructed with grant funding and were built by Highway Department personnel, allowing us to keep costs to a minimum for the town. I ask your support on this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 20.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Chief Robbie Tassino, also a member of Precinct 4. Article 20, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of money in the amount of $150,000 to be utilized to officiate the repairs of the Milford Police Department indoor firearms range.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Chief Tassino.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be quick. The indoor range at the Milford Police Department is paramount to our training. We constantly use it. It's in serious disarray. As Attorney Lazat stated, we didn't come up with this number haphazardly. To probably get a real range done, you're looking at about $800,000. So we wanted to be frugal. We wanted to trim that down the best that we could and still have a working range inside. It leaks, all the soundproofing is off it, it's 20 plus years old, and when you're upstairs firing firearms inside this closed facility, it doesn't take much for it to come apart. I urge your support of this.
Thank you, Chief Tassino. Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 21. Mr. Christofouli.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $122,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the highway surveyor for the purpose of purchasing a new brush chipper.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the chipper used by the Highway Department was originally purchased by the Board of Health in the early 1980s, around the time the transfer station first opened. The machine has served the town for decades, primarily for brush clearing, storm cleanup operations. However, the chipper ceased to function 2 years ago and was deemed not feasible to repair due to its age, condition, and unavailability of parts. Given the nature of the work involved, a chipper remains the most efficient and effective method for managing brush and debris resulting from regular maintenance and weather events. A replacement is necessary to ensure continued operational efficiency and to maintain public safety by keeping roadways and public areas clean of brush and storm debris. I ask for your support on this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other vote care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 22. Again, he's a busy man tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Town meeting members, I move the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $75,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the highway surveyor for the purpose of implementing a new culvert asset management plan.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote care to be heard? Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Mass DOT has required towns to have available GIS information regarding all town-owned culverts. We have applied for a grant for $150,000. The town's match is $75,000. Our consultant will capture attributes from each culvert such as shape, size, type of culvert, condition of the culvert, inlet, outlet, head wall, roadway conditions at the crossings, characteristics of the stream, etc. The inspection form will be designed to evaluate the structural integrity, hydraulic performance, and roadside compatibility with the culvert. in accordance with the Mass DOT Culvert Assessment and Decision-Making Procedures Manual. All this information will be added to our town GIS system. A risk analysis will be done, and information will be used for a culvert management plan. We have approximately 85 culverts throughout the town that will be analyzed. I ask for your support on this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 23.
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $19,000 to be used for installment of new fencing in the area of the food pantry and Pine Street parking lot.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fencing in the town parking lot in the area of the food pantry and Pine Street area are in need of replacement. Both have deteriorated and have holes and are basically falling down. Installing new fencing is the only option. The amount needed for the fencing is $19,000. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 24. Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $120,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the highway surveyor for the purpose of purchasing a new lift.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Christofouli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the Highway Department currently operates 4 mechanic bays for vehicle and equipment repairs, but we only have one vehicle lift available. During emergency situations such as snowstorms or time-sensitive road repairs or our annual leaf collection program, it's essential to have reliable access to lifts in the event of a vehicle breakdown. Having only one lift limits our ability to respond quickly and efficiently, which can delay critical operations and increase downtime for essential equipment. I ask for your support on this article.
Thank you, Mr. Christofouli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 25. Chief Nelson.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Mark Nelson, Precinct 7. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $190,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the fire chief to replace the HVAC compressors, air handlers, ventilation fans, and garage heaters in the fire station.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Moderator.
Chief Nelson.
The AC compressors this summer failed at the Birch Street Fire Station during the summer. Parts of the system are original since 1991. All of the equipment identified in this article should be replaced, and I hope for your support.
Thank you, Chief Nelson. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 26. Mr. Zakili.
Matthew Zakili, School Committee Chair and Precinct 6. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $160,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the Milford School Committee for the purpose of upgrading the district's network switches, wireless access points, Cisco phone service upgrades, and VMware license for phone servers.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 27.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Mark Nelson, Precinct 7. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $1,350,000, said sum to be spent under the jurisdiction of the fire chief in order to purchase and equip a new fire engine to replace Engine 1, which engine has been in service since 2001.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote or care to be heard? Chief Nelson.
Mr. Moderator. Engine 1 is due for replacement. It is 25 years old. The new engine that we are seeking to purchase will be very similar to Engine 5, which we acquired in 2021. This custom engine is a severe service model designed for our needs as a rescue pumper, and I hope for your support.
Thank you, Chief Nelson. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 28. Mr. Zakili.
Matthew Zakili, School Committee Chair, Precinct 6. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $2,200,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the Milford School Committee for the purposes of repairing and upgrading components of the Stacy School HVAC systems.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Does any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 29. Mr. Crisafulli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, Scott Crisafulli, Vernon Grove, trustee. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $15,000 to be spent under the jurisdiction of the Vernon Grove Cemetery trustees for the purpose of professional consultant services.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard? Mr. Crisafulli.
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, the Vernon Grove Cemetery and Purchase Street Cemetery have historically operated under procedures that have not been updated in over 50 years. Since the two cemeteries have combined, it is necessary to engage professional consultant services to ensure operations, forms, rules, regulations, policies, deeds, procedures, burial options, laws, pricing, and staff training to comply with Massachusetts state law and best practices. It's necessary to make these changes to protect the town from regulatory risk and reduce the future legal and operating exposure and stay up to date with all cemetery policies and procedures for compliance. I ask for your support in this article.
Thank you, Mr. Crisafulli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 30. Mr. Walsh.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $250,000 to be utilized to replenish Fund 2425, compensated absences.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Walsh.
town meeting members, this article seeks the sum of $250,000 to replenish this fund, which is used to make any required payments under union contract for unused sick leave to our retiring police officers and firefighters. We will have a number of police and fire personnel retiring over the next 2 years, and the town needs to add to this fund in order to meet our obligations to the retiring police and fire personnel. I urge your support for this article.
Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 31.
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency account a sum of money in the amount of $2,803 to be utilized to fully fund the personal services contract with the town accountant.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the town entered into a 5-year contract with the town accountant. This article seeks the sum of $2,803 to fund the new contract. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 32.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Article 32. I move that the town vote to transfer from the excess and deficiency accounts a sum of money in the amount of $200,000 to be utilized to fund the cost items in a collective bargaining agreement entered into between the town of Milford and the Milford Firefighters Association.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Recommendation is favorable from the Finance Committee. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, this article seeks to fund the cost of items contained in a collective bargaining agreement between the town of Milford and the Milford Fire Department employees. The additional cost is $200,000. This amount will supplement salaries and wages retroactive to July 1st, 2025, and I urge you to support this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 33. Mr. Walsh.
Do I have to read all these things?
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $200,000 to be utilized to fund the cost items in the collective bargaining agreement entered into between the town of Milford and the Milford Police Association.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any voter care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Walsh.
this article seeks to fund the cost of items contained in a collective bargaining agreement between the town of Milford and the Milford Police Department employees. The additional cost is $200,000. This amount will supplement salaries and wages retroactive to July 1st, 2024. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Any other voter care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 34. Mr. Mazzucchelli.
Article 34. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $30,317 The said sum will be utilized to fund the cost items in a collective bargaining agreement entered into and between the Town of Milford and the Milford Association of Clerical Employees. In said total, sum will be divided among the department's accounts as follows. Assessors, $4,046. Treasurer, $1,943. Tax collector, $4,083. Benefits, $2,621. General government, $2,567. Town clerk, $5,375. Planning, $2,567. Highway, $2,996. Senior Center, $2,621. And Veterans, $1,498.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote or care to be heard? Mr. Mazzucchelli.
I was going to go home. Forgot I had to do this. Anyway, Article 34. This article seeks to fund the cost of items contained in a collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Milford and the Milford Clerical Department employees. The additional cost is $30,317. This amount will supplement salaries and wages retroactive to July 1st, 2024, and I urge you to support this article. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mazzucchelli. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 35.
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Mr. Moderator, town meeting members, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $5,000 to be utilized to fund the cost items in the collective bargaining agreement entered into between the Town of Milford and the Milford Town Library Staff Association.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Any vote or care to be heard?
Mr. Moderator.
Attorney O'Loughlin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this article seeks to fund the cost items contained in the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Milford Library employees. The additional cost is $5,000. This amount will supplement salaries and wages retroactive to July 1st, 2024. I urge your support of this article.
Thank you, Attorney O'Loughlin. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. Article 36. Mr. Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Zachary Taylor, at-large member, Finance Director. Article 36. I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money in the amount of $1,865,519 to be added to the town stabilization account.
Motion's been made and seconded. Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Favorable.
Finance Committee recommendation is favorable. Does any vote or care to be heard?
Moderator.
Mr. Taylor.
Town meeting members, as you heard earlier from the presentation of the Finance Committee Chair, this was identified in May. This is part of our financial strategic plan to be prepared for the inevitable new high school that is coming. I proudly say that we were able to do this if you vote tonight and accomplish all our goals and objectives for the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Any other vote or care to be heard? If not, the question comes upon the motion as presented. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously. What's the pleasure of the meeting? Mr. Long has moved to dissolve the warrant. Motion has been made and seconded. Motion is not debatable. The question comes upon the motion to dissolve the warrant. All those in favor will manifest by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion is carried unanimously that the October 20th, 2025 special town meeting is hereby dissolved. The monitors will please bring forward their second attendance list to the town clerk. Thank you.